Hello and welcome back to another video in my Granny Square book challenge series. We are now up to book and square number 6. And the book I've chosen for number 6 is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. If you're new to this channel and you don't know what the Granny Square book challenge is, I have got a video that introduces the concept, but just briefly, I'm going to be crocheting a square for every book that I read this year in the hopes that at the end of the year I will have enough for a blanket or a scarf or a pillow or something like that. Okay, so this book, I enjoyed the story and I do understand that the intended audience is young adults, so a fair bit younger than I am. I just thought that everything needed to be fleshed out a lot more. So you start off, I'm going to try to avoid spoilers, but you start off and her heartbreak has already happened and you don't really get flashbacks, so that first love is never really fleshed out. And I found it quite hard to get on board with her heartbreak because you didn't really ever see her interact with the boy at all. And she's very quick to sort of move on after that is not resolved, but it's like, okay, we're setting up this and now it's done. We're setting up the next part of the story and now it's done. It was very fast paced, but I just felt like everything was just lacking depth. And like I said, I know that it's supposed to be a young adult story, so maybe that's the reason. It's been a while since I was a young adult reading young adult stories. I can't quite remember if a book like this would have felt like enough to get my teeth into. The next book I'm reading for this challenge is the second book in the series, The Ballad of Never After. And I did read a review about Once Upon a Broken Heart that mentioned it felt like a lot of setting up for sequels. So I'm hopeful that the second book might give us a little bit more to work with. We shall see. The main character of the book, Evangeline, she is young, she's very naive and a bit too trusting. The other characters in the book, I enjoyed the character of Jax. I think it would have been really interesting to explore his character a little bit more. I am about to give a tiny spoiler. I don't even know if it could be called a spoiler because it's just glossed over. So if you don't want to hear the spoiler, maybe skip forward 20 seconds. Towards the end of the book, Luke is reintroduced, and that is Evangeline's first love, the one that broke her heart in the very beginning of the book. He's reintroduced and then he's gone and we never hear about him again for the rest of the book. And if you read the book, you know, I think it would be important to find out what happens to him based on what happens the bit that you do read. And I'm hoping he turns up again in the next book, just so we can, you know, make sure he's okay. I feel like this book will stay on my shelves, definitely, and it'll be one I reach for if I just want something fun and quick and whimsical to palette cleanse, maybe if I'm planning to read two deeper books. I can very much imagine passing it on to my daughter when she's older to read. It is a good book. It just needed more depth, I think, for me personally to enjoy it. I know that it's got lots of great reviews on Goodreads and things like that, and it is good. I just wanted more, I think, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, well, I've rambled a lot more than I normally do in these videos. I'll just quickly explain the technical side of things. As with all my other squares, I use a 4mm hook, DK yarn. I chain 25 to begin with, plus 3 as the turning chain, and then I double crochet across backwards and forwards for 6 rows, and that creates the base of the square. For the motif of this particular square, I am attempting to crochet a fox motif. Now, I did not have a pattern. I think you can see in this video a couple of times I have to frog what I've done because it's not quite right. The overall end result, I think, resembles a fox. I showed it to my husband and I said, "What is this?" And he said, "A fox." So he actually guessed it right this time. So hopefully I've done an okay job. Like I mentioned before, the next book I'm planning to read for this series is The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. It is the sequel to Once Upon a Broken Heart. Hopefully it will give me a bit more of what I want. I'm going to stop rambling now and let you enjoy the rest of the video. I will just pop on at the end to say bye-bye. And here is the finished square for Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I'm sorry that the lighting is a little bit off for this portion of the video. My youngest woke up from his nap, so I had to quickly do the embroidery for the square off camera as well. And a little bit of time passed and the lighting left me. I hope you're enjoying this series. If you are, please consider subscribing and I will see you next time. Bye bye!